So you do that search with, let's say, Safari's. They will then fire up another browser somewhere virtually in their cloud system, ask the search engine for that, use their IP address, and then send you the result back. Is that kind of what's happening? Is that a description of it?
Not exactly. And I don't want to misspeak on Apple's product because it seems kind of complicated. But in general, I think they're trying to help protect your IP address from when you go to websites. That's one method of tracking. Unfortunately, to be like fully protected, you really need tracker blocker as well. Because, there's a lot of ways to get fingerprinted when you load up.
Yeah, explain this. This is a critically important concept. My understanding is your screen resolution, your monitor setup, your memory, a lot of other pieces to do with your browser and your desktop or your phone can be sent to build a profile of you. Explain how they build these modern day profiles if they don't have your IP address.
Yeah, it's a bit counterintuitive, but it's true. Your computer is pretty unique. Is really what it is. Like the fonts you have installed and the combination of what version you're using and kind of exactly what model it is and what the screen size is. When you add up all those little pieces and say you put it together in one long number, your number is often unique to you. And so you can use that as a fingerprint, which means that they could turn it into an ID, kind of like an IP address, and follow you around with that. Or even easier, you can just make up a unique number and drop it as a cookie. But like what happens is as long as these scripts can load these trackers, like say like Google Analytics, they're going to find a way to fingerprint you. And so the key is actually blocking them from loading on the websites you visit. You need that extreme level of blocking. And that's what a good like tracker blocker like ours, that component will do. Versus just like when you hear all this talk about we're just restricting cookies or, we're just putting restrictions on these trackers, that's not going to go far enough to actually stop the harm. Like they'll still be able to track you.
Okay, so Apple has been doing tons of these privacy things. You've been doing a ton of privacy things, Brave Browser, a lot of people, VPNs, NordVPN, TunnelBear, everybody's really getting in on this, trying to really protect people's privacy. And I think your timing was great. You were too early at the beginning, and now it seems like consumers are catching up to this concept because of data leaks, because of regulations, and just all kinds of bad actors and what they're seeing in the world. People seem to care about that. What percentage of people would you say are concerned enough about privacy to take initiative, get a VPN, use one of these browsers, versus people who maybe are more passive about it? Where are we at today in 2021?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. That's exactly how we look at our market. We call it the care and act on privacy group. So
perfect. Yeah.
You don't just say you care, but you actually took some action.
Right.
That is actually just crossed 50% of the US of people who are attempting to do something, like you said, some action. So it's a lot. I think the gap there is in the quality of the software. And so it's our job to make that simple and seamless. And that is our real goal, is to be that easy button. So when people are looking, they can just download our product on any platform and get that basic protection.
So here's a candid question. Apple, DuckDuckGo, you're perfectly in line. You're simpatico. You share the same vision. Yet, Apple gets $15 billion a year from Google to make them the default search engine. It's a nice chunk of change. It's a pretty penny. You purposely monetize at a lower level than Google. Google makes about 30 cents a search, I think. I'm guessing you make 10% of that. Am I in the ballpark here that you monetize? We
definitely make a lot less. Let's just go with that.
80% less, something like that, because you just are not flooding the top with 20 links there, and you're flooding it with one or two. You're putting one or two. They're putting 20. So I'm going to say 10% maybe. You make 3 cents per search on average to their 30 cents. Pick a number out there. Apple, if they made you the default, it means they would go from $15 billion a year, and you might generate $1.5 billion if you had all those Apple consumers, or let's say you do really good, you double that. They don't need that incremental $10 billion, I don't think. Why don't they just make you the default search engine? And there's been rumors and advocacy around them buying DuckDuckGo. What are your thoughts on a potential deeper collaboration with Apple?
I mean, we've been pushing for a third option, both to partners, but also just in a regulatory manner, which is, that deal is a deal of a default deal that Google has kind of locked up, not just on Apple, but basically all defaults on most phones and basically all of Android through all of the handset deals. And so what we'd actually like is, instead of that, is for there to be what we call a preference menu. When you install the device or open up even Chrome for the first time, you're presented with an option to pick the search engine. So, most people are using Google now, never made a choice. They just got Google. And that's what they've gotten for the last, 20 years. But we think that if people really understood that there was another option and would be easily able to check it out, like our percentage would go up overnight. And so from Apple's perspective or anyone's, it's more, we think of more from the consumer perspective of giving users a choice that want it. Anyone who really wants privacy, making it easy.
This is a brilliant framing of the issue, because what you're saying is let consumers choose. And what Google has done is, because they are willing to compromise people's privacy at the highest level, they then have the budget to pay off partners at the highest level. Because you do the right thing, you make 3 cents a search. I'm saying that, I'm making it up to my estimate. They make 30 cents. Therefore, you could never offer an Android headset maker, Apple, whoever, the same deal that Google could. So we've created an incentive structure here, which means the more you invade people's privacy, the more you build a profile of them that they clearly don't want, even somebody like Apple, who has made it their mission the last 2 or 3 years to protect people's privacy, even they can't say no to the massive buckets and wheelbarrows and just dump trucks going from Mountain View to Cupertino, these garbage trucks of $100 bills being dumped in front of the Apple campus. Isn't that what's happening here?
I think that speaks to why, the market is broken there. It's really a monopoly issue, and it needs an antitrust remedy of, getting rid of these search defaults and then letting consumers choose. That would be our goal.
If you're a startup founder, you know that